failed an interview for helping the elderly. But everything changed in just 1 week. Failed the interview for his dream job, helping the elderly, heartbroken and ashamed. He thought life had passed him by, but within 7 days, one small act of kindness changed everything and revealed a truth that brought him to tears. Emma had always believed her purpose in life was to serve others. Fresh out of college with a degree in social work, she applied for a position at a prestigious elder care foundation in the city. She walked into the interview with hope in her heart, a resume filled with volunteer experience and glowing recommendations from her professors. But the panel of 3 barely looked her in the eye. They asked quick, cold questions and dismissed her passion as idealistic. The rejection email came just hours later. It crushed her spirit. She sat alone in her small apartment, questioning her worth and crying quietly into a cup of cold tea. Her dream of helping the elderly felt like it had been ripped away before it could even begin. But what hurt more was that they didn't even give her a chance to prove herself. The next day, while aimlessly walking through the neighborhood, she noticed an old man struggling to push a wheelchair across the street. Without thinking, she rushed to help him. He looked up with tired eyes and smiled. "Thank you, child," he whispered. That small act sparked something inside her. Over the next few days, she began helping elderly neighbors with groceries, errands, or just listening to their stories. Her phone stayed silent with job rejections, but her heart felt full for the first time in weeks. Word began to spread about the kind girl who helps for free. Strangers started knocking on her door, asking for help or offering thanks. Emma didn't realize it yet, but her quiet kindness was about to create a ripple far bigger than any job title could offer. Her journey had only just begun without an office, paycheck, or recognition, but full of heart and meaning. One quiet morning, Emma found a small envelope tucked beneath the old flower pot outside her door. Her name was written on it in shaky handwriting. Curious and a little cautious, she opened it slowly. Inside was a handwritten note that read, "You don't know me, but I've seen the way you help the elders in our community. I watched you carry Mrs. Gomez's groceries last week, and how you listened patiently to Mr. Rafi's war stories. You may not have the job you wanted, but you're doing the work that truly matters. Thank you." There was no name, just a simple heart drawn at the bottom. Emma stared at the letter for several minutes, feeling tears rise to her eyes. She folded the note gently and placed it inside her journal. It was the first time she felt seen, not by a manager or a committee, but by someone who truly understood the value of kindness. That afternoon, while visiting an elderly woman named Amina who needed help setting up her medication, Emma noticed something different. Amina's granddaughter was home from university and quietly watched as Emma worked. "You don't get paid for this?" the girl asked. Confused, Emma smiled and said, "No, I just want them to feel cared for." The girl didn't say much, but the next day, she returned with 2 of her friends, asking if they could help Emma with her visits. Surprised but grateful, Emma welcomed them in. What started as a quiet act of service was beginning to grow into something bigger. More hands, more hearts. Emma had no plan, no funding, and no title, but the community was responding to her light. And somewhere, the person who left that letter watched from a distance, knowing their small gesture had helped spark something beautiful. A few days later, as Emma finished helping Mr. Patel fix his old radio, a black car pulled up outside the community center. It wasn't the usual sight in this modest neighborhood. A tall woman stepped out, dressed smartly in a navy blue suit, holding a leather folder. She walked directly to Emma, who was wiping her hands with a cloth. "Are you Emma Carter?" the woman asked. "Yes," Emma replied, a bit confused. "My name is Dana Miles. I work with the Department of Senior Services. I've been hearing about you." Emma looked around nervously, unsure if she was in trouble or being offered something. Dana smiled. "I think you're doing something amazing. The elderly residents have been calling, sending letters, even their families. They talk about you with warmth and gratitude. You're making real change." Emma's eyes widened, still trying to process everything. Dana continued, "We want to partner with you. If you're willing, We can provide training, resources, and even small grants to grow what you've started." Emma was speechless. Just last week, she had been rejected in an interview room. Now someone from the same department wanted to support her. "But I don't have a formal degree," Emma said hesitantly. Dana replied, "You have something more important, heart, and the results speak for themselves." Word spread quickly. More volunteers joined. Local stores began donating supplies. What started as a personal mission had now become a small movement. Emma no longer felt invisible. The same community that once seemed closed off was now wide, open, ready to walk beside her, and deep down, Emma knew failing that interview wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning of something even greater. Sometimes, rejection isn't a closed door. It's just a redirection to where you truly belong. One sunny morning, while Emma was organizing a small tea gathering for the seniors, Mr. Thompson, a quiet man who rarely spoke, approached her with a photo in his trembling hands. It was an old, faded picture of a young girl sitting on a park bench, smiling with missing front teeth. "Do you know this girl?" he asked softly. Emma looked closer and her heart skipped a beat. It was her, maybe 7 years old. Confused, she looked up at him. "Where did you get this?" Mr. Thompson's eyes welled up with tears. "That's you. I took that photo. I knew your mother, Emma. She used to volunteer here when she was your age." Emma was stunned. She never knew much about her mother's younger years, only that she died in an accident when Emma was just a child. "Your mother was the reason I started talking again. I had lost my wife and had no one, but she'd sit and talk to me every week, just like you're doing now. When she stopped coming, I always wondered what happened to her." Emma felt something deep stir in her chest. Her mother had been here, walked the same halls, helped the same people. It was like she had unknowingly followed in her mother's footsteps. Tears ran down her cheeks, and for the first time, she felt truly connected to her roots. The community center wasn't just a place she chose, it had been part of her story all along. As Mr. Thompson gently patted her shoulder, Emma realized her mother's kindness had never really disappeared. It had just been waiting, silently, to bloom again through her. And at that moment, Emma wasn't just helping strangers. She was continuing a legacy, healing hearts, and slowly piecing together her own. By the end of the week, Emma had become a familiar and comforting presence at the elderly center. The woman who once walked in nervously, feeling like a failure after her interview rejection, was now someone the residents looked forward to seeing every day. She helped with meals, organized music sessions, and spent quiet moments just listening, something many of them hadn't experienced in years. Word quickly spread about her dedication, and one afternoon, the center's director unexpectedly approached her with a warm smile. "Emma," she said, "I made a mistake in that interview. We were looking for someone with experience, but what we really needed was someone with heart. You have that more than anyone I've met." She handed Emma an envelope. It was a formal offer letter to join as a permanent caregiver. Emma was speechless. A week ago, she had walked out of this place disappointed and uncertain. Now, she was being asked to stay not just as a volunteer, but as someone who truly belonged. Her eyes filled with tears, but this time they were tears of joy and gratitude. As she looked around the room filled with laughter, music, and warmth, she felt a deep sense of purpose. The rejection she had once feared turned out to be a redirection, one that led her to healing, to legacy, and to love. She smiled at Mr. Thompson, who gave her a proud nod from across the room. Emma now understood that sometimes life doesn't give us what we ask for, it gives us what we need to grow. And in just 1 week, everything had changed, not just for her, but for the people whose lives she touched, and the mother whose life she had unknowingly carried forward. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share with someone who needs it. Subscribe to Human Fables for more real, emotional stories that stay with you forever.